talk, talking crime, cases, and backing the blue. Now, here are your hosts, Captain Ed Mehmet and Detective Kevin Schroeder.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cop Talk. I'm Kevin Schroeder, your host. And unfortunately, my co-host today is not with us, but hopefully he'll be back soon. So we wish him good luck and well. Today, my guest co-host is retired second-grade detective Judy Newton from the Manhattan DA's office. Judy, say hello.
Hello, everyone.
And our guest today is the famous first-grade detective, Mike Sapraicone. Mike is retired first grader. Not sure where Mike retired out of. I know he talks about a lot of transit stories, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Mike also ran for U.S. Senate, and hopefully he'll come back and run again for something, and I'm sure hopefully you'll win as well. Mike, welcome.
Well, Kevin, thank you. And Judy, great to have you here. Judy and I go back forever. We're all transit guys together. Yeah, sure. I won't say forever, but quite a while ago.
Well, right? Forever.
So
way back.
This isn't a transit cop.
It's not.
It could be.
But anyway, so you guys, I know you guys go back a long way, right? Transit. And
we
then
do.
Before we decided to allow you into our job, the NYPD.
You did. And we thank you for that, guys.
Well, it was a hostile takeover.
But I heard you guys were pretty happy, though. You didn't want to leave.
The housing guys were happy, too. Housing
too.
guys
True.
very happy.
True. Very happy.
We had our own little niche there. And,
yeah. No, I know.
It was a good world.
I know. You guys complained more than us, I think, about the merge.
I think we probably did.
Yeah.
Well, that's because we were more of a family. We had the family setting, and we got along well with each other. We had no enemies, and we were happy.
Well, so, Mike, why don't you tell our audience, our listeners, a little bit of your background?
Well, thanks, Kevin. I came on in 1980, and I was a state trooper in Jersey for about a month.
Oh.
When and we were making about $6,000 a year in the academy in Seaguard, and you had to live there. Then I got a call from the NYPD.
Are you originally from Jersey? Or?
No, I'm a Queens kid.
Okay.
And I live in Long Island now. But back in the 70s, you took every test you could, right? We had just started laying off people in the 70s. So you took every single test there was out there for civil service test. So I got called by Jersey, and then the females sued the state police. There were only 2 females in all of the state police in New Jersey back in the late 70s. And they sued to put more females on. So they canceled my class, and they put a class of females in. And then I got called after that. And I was there, and it was a great job. It was a very physical academy, like being in the military. I'm an ex-Navy guy. And then I got called by the NYPD. It was a better commute, and the money was double. And I came into the city, and I became a transit cop, which... You never even heard of a train. I'm a guy who grew up in Queens, took the trains all the time. I didn't know there was a difference between a transit cop, a housing cop, a street cop, a gutter cop, whatever we used to call everybody. It was a great job, and they said the pay is the same, everything's the same. And I took it. And I'll tell you, I learned a lot. I enjoyed it. I stayed, I was there until the merge. I made detective in about 6 years. What an interesting thing is, and Judy will tell you, all the old timers, the rookies had 7 years on, and they were all disgruntled at the time. There were no civil service exams, no meritorious promotions. So for a young kid to come on in the late 70s, early 80s, you had a great opportunity to advance. There was a lot of opportunity there.
You said you were promoted detective. Was that when you were still a transit? Or
yes. So I made detective third grade in 1986.
Okay.
I made second grade in 1991. And I sat in grade during the merge, and I finally got promoted in 1999 to first grade. And now I don't remember, Kevin, what year did you get promoted? Do you remember?
When I got promoted?
Yeah.
First grade or?
Yeah, first grade.
It was April of 2009.
Okay. So when I got promoted in 1999, there was only 144 first grade detectives. Now, I don't know what the number is, but I know it's something much, much more.
Yes.
And we had about 7,500 detectives when I got promoted to first. Now I think there's fewer detectives, right?
Yes, there is. Yes.
But there were only 144 first grade detectives, so it was kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it was a
very difficult rank.
Nice club to be a member of.
It is a nice club.
It's hard to ascend from second to first. It's very, very difficult.
I don't know. Well, for me, it took me much longer long time to get to second grade.
Same with me.
First
Sometimes
grade
it's harder.
was much
Same
much
here.
quicker.
First grade was much quicker.
Yes.
Because there was less competition, too,
Yes,
at that point.
right, exactly. You
Right.
know, and plus I did 28 years, so
Oh,
you know.
you did 28?
Yeah.
So you did 8 too many. I mean, I'm retired 26
Not really.
years.
I was in Midtown Law Squad. It was
All right,
okay.
okay,
You know what I mean? It was
okay,
okay. It was probably
That's
not
the real
enough.
cops work there, right? That's where the real cops were. in Midtown
Exactly,
North.
exactly.
Okay.
He's only one type of detective, right? Just
Right,
ask
that's
him.
right.
But no, it was a great run. 28 years, no regrets. You know, we all have our ups and downs, but overall, it was a great run. You know, and you know, Midtown North Precinct. I was a cop there. I did anti-crime 4 years. I did SNU 1 year. Then went to narcotics. Came back with the Shield. I was fortunate enough to get back with the Shield. But we had a nice run. Great bosses. And then we'll leave it at that. But anyway, Mike.
It's a great job.
Yes.
I mean, it's a great job.
Yes.
When I retired because I had a business similar to, I had a
Right,
security
right.
company. So you miss the people. You always say you miss the people. You don't miss the job. But I kind of miss both because I had a lot of fun. Every day was fun to go to work,
Yeah.
Yeah, you not only had fun, Mike, you learned a lot. We grew up very fast because we had responsibilities.
Right. We certainly did.
When you have 8 to 10 million people's lives in your hands, it's a hell of a lot of responsibility.
No,
Sure.
it is. And so as I was working through the ranks, to get promoted, I had 3 children at the time. I wound up with 5 children by the time I retired. But it's hard to make ends meet. So I was working 3 jobs. I was standing at the door at Nobody Beats the Whiz before my tour, doing my tour, and I did like 9 o'clock at night, 2100 to 0530 in an anti-crime unit. Then I would go deliver Chinese food right before that too.
Oh, wow.
So it was 3 jobs and raising a family. And, and that's what got me interested in starting a business. So I started the business when I was still on the job. I got my watch guard license and everything. Couldn't get your PI till you retire.
Right.
But I did that, and I started working for Nobody Beats the Whiz, Coconuts, and I started running their security. So I did that until I retired. And then right in 2000, I was the #1 earner in Queens. And the chief said, and I'm not going to mention his name, I like him, but he thinks it was coming out of his pocket. Okay. He said, you got to go. Either go or just stop making overtime.
Right.
I said, okay.
You have to go.
It
Yeah.
was the right time, and my business built up right after 9/11.
Right.
So I retired in December before 9/11.
Okay.
So right when 9/11 happened, my business was starting to build up, and then we took over the American Stock Exchange right after 9/11, and that's when we really grew. We put 30 retired or active off-duty cops into the stock exchange, and we started changing things about low-end security and things like that. So that was good. So I had that business for 31 years.
Yeah.
I sold that business in 2023 or 2022, and I had an opportunity to run for Congress when Santos was being thrown out of office there. I was offered that position. I actually declared my candidacy to run for the 3rd District in Nassau County for Congress. And then they had the war, October 7th, you had the war in Israel broke out. And they decided to choose a different candidate to go in a different direction. But at the same time, they offered me the United States Senate, which was kind of a great opportunity, but a little scary. In Congress, you're looking at a little district, maybe 700,000 people. Here you're looking at, 20 million people in New York State, and you travel in 62 counties. But I got to tell you, it was one of the greatest experiences I've ever had. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, you had a good run.
I had a good run.
Absolutely.
We got 3.2 million votes. We got outspent by 11 million. But we had a good run, and we gave us a little credibility. And now I'm the senior advisor to the New York State GOP. That's what I do now.
Oh, with Cox.
Cox. I'm Ed Cox's advisor.
Oh, great.
So
That's good.
Not bad for a kid from Queens.
not bad for a kid from Queens.
You
Judy,
thinking
100%.
you still want to run for, stay with
They
politics?
mentioned different things, but it's got to be the right position.
Right.
Schumer's up in 3 more years. Will he run? Will AOC run? Rumors Cuomo might run. So I don't know. I'm going to be 70 years old in May. So I have to kind of look at the situation and see what's best. My wife is a judge. She's still got 8 or 9 years left on her term in Long Island.
Oh, in Long Island? Okay.
She's an ex-prosecutor in Queens, and she's a Supreme Court justice in Nassau now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the kids are all grown. Kids are out of the house.
Yep.
So I do a little TV, a little radio.
Right.
Just try to keep my hand in things.
Well, I know you're on the Cats and
I'm going to be on
Rita
Cats
show.
and Cosby
show
later on.
Right.
So I do that once in a while. I do some Newsmax stuff. So, but I'm having fun.
That's the main thing.
And I've met a lot of good people and interesting things.
Yeah.
And, Judy, you mentioned how we learned by working by ourselves and things. But you learn so much by meeting all these different people as you travel the state. And, Oswego County or Scolari County are different than the Bronx and Brooklyn and Manhattan.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and you got to meet all those folks when you were campaigning.
Got to meet all those folks. And
great.
Just, the Second Amendment is something that we look at as cops and working in the city. And I had an issue when I first ran upstate. Everybody is very Second Amendment, and I'm a believer in the Second Amendment. But as a New York City police officer, if I saw a guy with a gun, he's a bad guy, right? Upstate, it's a different world. And I had to understand that and learn that it's not a 3 or 5 minute run to get to, on a 9/11 call. It's 30 minutes, 35 minutes.
Yeah.
Might be a trooper, might be a deputy. It's probably not just a local guy. And so you see things in a different light.
So it's a different kind of education for you.
It was.
And I know the kind of person that you are. And I know you educate yourself appropriately according to the setting that you are placed in. That's very important.
It's 100% important. And so I went to Israel during the campaign because how do you speak about what happened in Israel and how do you speak about that? And I felt terrible. You have to talk about Israel. You have to talk about, what you feel about that. Well, if you don't go there. And so I actually was on the ground and got, I could see the Gaza border. I was up north and right on the Lebanese border where we were in bulletproof vests and helmets and armed escorts around. Sure. 10 minutes after we left the border up there, they dropped 14 bombs on the site we're at. So you got to see, and it was easier to understand and talk about those things. But that's very important, Judy.
It is very important, and a lot of people shy away from visiting the Middle East. I spent the whole month of September last year in the Middle East. When those bombs were dropped, I didn't realize that you were on the other side. I was in Jordan.
Oh, wow.
By the King Hussein border. I remember seeing about 100 Mercedes trucks filled with food. All the engines were off because the border was locked down. And I did not get to go into the Dead Sea.
Oh.
Yeah, it was too dangerous. But we were right there. And I'm looking down at the place where Jesus was baptized. And I'm saying to myself, how could this be the Holy Land? But that's life.
It is life. It was, we were able to visit where the music festival was and what a sad thing that was. And the car's still there. They were bombed out and everything.
Right.
But
it was a terrible thing to have happened.
And you don't, if you don't understand, it's a religious war just as much as it's anything else. And we've never seen something like that over here.
Right.
So it was a whole different experience for me.
Sure.
But
True.
Well, in America, we have separation of church and state, and we do not tolerate such nonsense. Yeah.
So, Mike and Judy, let's touch on the NYPD. Okay, what's your thoughts on? We have a new mayor now, Mandami. What's your thoughts on? If you think Tish will stick around?
I'm surprised she stayed. I was very surprised that she had stayed. I don't know her well, but I know her to say hello to her and stuff. And I was just a little bit surprised. I'm sure they're clashing at certain things, but we all know how those things work, right? Everybody's friendly in front of the cameras and together. I know she has different ideas. I think she's good for morale, but I don't think she will last. I mean, that's just my opinion.
I know, unfortunately. I think she's the glue right now for the police department to keep everyone in check, but I don't see her staying more than a year, although I'd like her to stay 4 years.
Right.
And then we're not sure who will be there. Not really sure.
I think she's a strong leader, and what I think about her, the way I feel about her is that she loves what she is doing. She loves the job, and she cares about the men and women who wear the uniform. It's a very important job assignment for her. I heard, I don't know how true, that she no longer answers directly to the mayor. She answers to one of his deputies. I don't know how true that is. Hopefully, if that was the case, it was corrected immediately.
I think it was correct. And I think they both came out and made a statement together with the governor there that that's not the case.
Yeah.
But that's hard.
Yeah.
It is very difficult.
Well, she's not doing it for the money, obviously.
Oh, she's obviously not doing it for the money.
Managing the NYPD is like managing a country.
Right.
Because
It
the
is.
the numbers are bigger than most armies.
Yeah.
Well, any of those things, we're not doing it for the money.
Right.
We may have been doing it for the money when we became cops because at the time it was right. But as we move on, these things are because you care about things.
Oh, absolutely.
You want to be involved.
Great job.
You want to bring something to the table. I always think, and I'm on a bunch of boards, if you can't bring something to the table, you shouldn't be on that board.
I
You
agree.
shouldn't be involved in that. So I think she's done a great job. I agree. I don't think she'll stay. I am concerned about what will happen next. We were talking earlier about the corrections commissioner. I don't know. Maybe I'm just old-fashioned, and maybe I'm not good at rehabilitation. That's not the proper word, but here's a guy who took an arrest for a robbery 30 years ago. I guess we all have to forgive, but how do you become the correction? How is that okay that you become the correction commissioner? I mean. Maybe he'll do a great job because he knows what it's like to be in. I don't know. Yeah. But I just can't imagine that. And I think part of the problem is we don't go for the best people sometimes. I think this is what Mondami's just trying to say, hey, I need a little bit of everybody to show that I'm going to be the right mayor for everybody.
Right. Like Adams. He went with his friends, and then you've seen how that ended.
But we were cops. We were transit cops together with Eric.
Yes.
So, Eric has always been Eric, though, right?
Yeah, Eric was in my academy class.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, we grew up together.
But you always kind of knew he was going to be something. Everybody said he's going to be the mayor or something.
He was ambitious.
He was ambitious, right? Yeah. But I think in Eric's case, why he had so many different police commissioners, because everybody wants to be the police commissioner. If you're a cop, you always want to be the police commissioner, right? So I think the mayor wanted to be police commissioner. So he kind of had a bunch of people that he knew for 30 or 40 years who were mixed in that thing. And he was kind of running the department with some of his people. And I don't think that was good for the city. Though we didn't do a terrible job.
Right.
But I don't think that was good for the city.
You give the cops a very good raise, the NYPD a very good raise.
Zeros and zeros during the Giuliani days, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, zeros for heroes. Absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah, it was a five-year contract. It was 0, 0, 2, 2, and 3 or something like that. So, and no retro. So you'll never make that money up. You'll never make that money up.
That's right.
But the cops loved them.
Yeah, well, I mean, he would come out and back the police absolutely every time, and he put the right commissioner in place. He took the handcuffs off the police without a doubt. He let us do our job. However, when it came to pay us, I don't know if it was because he was not happy with the unions or whatever the case may have been, but at the end of the day, zeros for heroes.
Yeah, and I remember Koch, when I came on, Koch was the mayor, and we got 9, 9, and 10, or 10, 9, and 9 or something like that my first 3 years.
Koch,
It was great. Were the good old days.
Yeah, Koch. And like I said, Adams gave them a very good raise. But interesting.
But I think Giuliani turned things around, not to interrupt you, but I think he turned the policing around.
Oh, absolutely.
Him and Braden.
It started with Bratton. You know this from Bratton and Dinkins went to Albany, and they acquired funds for Safe Street, Safe City. And then when there was a turnover in leadership, Giuliani came in and he finished it.
He did.
It was great. Remember all those Code 99s that
It's a lot of money we made with that.
Yeah.
Right?
You had Brian and Jack Maple.
Oh, Jack and I grew up together in Richmond Hill. We're Richmond Hill guys.
Yes.
I know Jack my whole life, and we fought our whole lives together pretty much. But,
Jack was a great guy.
But he was a visionary guy.
Yes.
He was a cop, but he saw things. He was able to say, like we had wolf pack robberies in the old days in the subway, 7, 8, 9 people, and when you make the first arrest, you close the case or clear it. I'm having a senior moment. Is it first arrest cleared it or closed it?
The NYPD closed it.
A1.
So whatever, I forget.
Transit cleared it. The NYPD
case is closed. No, we closed it. Yeah,
but you might still have 6 perps wanted.
Sure.
Right.
So that was something that nobody ever did. You didn't go out and get the other 6 guys. If they fell in your lap, you took them.
Right.
But Maple said, all right, let's go out and let's start interviewing. Let's get these people to turn on the other guys. And I remember when we first merged, one of my jobs was to go to the different boroughs. And I remember going to Queens and starting a unit in Queens where we would do all the interviews of anybody locked up for a robbery. Because we figured if you locked up for a robbery once, you were locked up a bunch of, you got away a couple of times. Right. Who are you doing them with? And then we'd start tying that into lineups and everything else and start closing other cases. So that was very successful. And, you know, I'm not trying to say that the NYPD wasn't accountable, but no police department. Transit wasn't really accountable. When Maple came in and Bratton came in and CompStat, which was a strange situation, it was a little bit degrading, I think, to bosses at times, but it held people accountable for what was going on in your precinct, what was going on in your area. And they started looking at it that way, and that's when crime started to dip.
True.
Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Sure. Also, we had very little equipment. Remember how our uniforms looked back then? We were
and the
kind
RMPs
of
and everything
inferior
else, right?
to, not good cars to the NYPD. And Bratton acquired money from the TA and the state. We got new uniforms, new cars, new equipment. We got the 9mm guns. We were the first ones to acquire the Glocks, 9mm. And I remember going up to the range. It was during the war and in the Middle East, and they were short of ammo. Remember when they refused to give us ammo? The NYPD refused to give us ammo.
I don't remember that.
And the CO got launched at the time. Yeah,
I don't remember.
Because we needed ammo to shoot with. Yeah, I remember those days.
Bratton did a lot of good things.
Yeah, but it was nice owning that Glock, right?
It was.
Yeah.
It was because everybody was out.
Yeah.
They had better weapons than we
They
did
did.
out there, right? All the perps.
So just like throughout the country, law enforcement is, undermanned, manpower is down, overworked, underpaid, as we all know. But again, we don't do it for the pay. It's for over the job, right? It's its entire family. But detective squads in NYPD, I mean, first of all, patrol leaves everything open to the squad. That's number one. I mean, lost cat, they leave it open to the squad. Right. So, it's a lot of work, okay? But then they're taking them out and putting them on details, uniform details. You have Manhattan detectives being sent to the Bronx, possibly Bronx detectives being sent to Brooklyn. I'm just saying. I mean, really? So I understand, like, there's no one to send, so everyone's got to take their turn, and I get that. But, then maybe don't leave everything open to the detective squad. Or keep your detectives in that borough. You know what I mean? Instead of driving all the way to the Bronx, not knowing their surroundings, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You're not familiar with those surroundings.
Sure. Those are not jobs for detectives. Detectives should be detecting, and they should be allowed to do their jobs efficiently. What they needed to do was hire more cops.
That's certainly the correct answer. But I remember, as a transit detective, we never went in the bag. So we never had to go on a detail.
Right.
So when we merged, I had to find a shirt and a jumper because I didn't have any. We didn't have to have that stuff.
Well, remember we used to borrow each other.
That's right.
Male and female, it didn't matter. Each other uniforms.
Right, just to go. I had to go to Yankee Stadium.
Can I borrow your pants? Are they going to fit?
I never went to Yankee Stadium in a uniform. I had to go there on a detail one time.
Sure. Yes.
True.
But
because we were detectives. We were, and we acted the part. Also, we looked the part.
Right.
Right. Very sharp dressers, and and we worked.
And I always found, you could, as a detective, you had somebody say to you, some chief or something. So what's going on here? You give an answer, or you say, let me get back to you with that answer. Nowadays, I see some of the kids don't have an answer. Right? It's a different level.
It is.
So when I left in 2000. So remember we used to have the gate at the squad, right? And you couldn't You couldn't go past that gate.
Yeah.
And I remember even being a transit detective, and I was in a 114 on a homicide, and the detectives from the 114 made me sit outside because I was a transit, which I winded up retiring. I winded up retiring out of the 114, right? So it was funny. I went back and worked with those same guys, and I was the highest ranking detective there, so it was even better when I got there. But those days, a cop would never come up and walk through that gate. No. And towards the end, I'm in the squad. I'm sitting down, typing out my 5 or whatever I'm doing. The gate opens, and some kid in uniform walks in with his coffee cup. And I said, "How you doing?" "Yeah, good. How you doing?" I said, "I'm doing good." "What's up?" "I'm just coming up to get a cup of coffee." "From here?" Yeah, Sergeant told me anytime, come on up whenever I wanted. Yeah. Now, the sergeant had never been a detective.
Right.
He was a new sergeant, and he got into the squad. Sure. I knew at that point it was time to leave, kind of, okay?
Right.
Yeah. I think some of the squads now, I know, actually probably all the squads, but I know of the 5th squad, the Midtown North South, there's a code now. They do lock that door.
Oh, wow.
You have to have that code. You can't
That's
just
good.
walk in, which is
like
great.
That. That's great.
I like that.
Great.
But same thing, when I retired, the end of 2012, the kids would come up, I say kids, rookies would come upstairs and, walk around, use the phone. It's like, okay, use the copy machine. Meanwhile, I used to stand at attention, wait to be acknowledged before I walked past that gate.
That's right.
Sure.
Times have changed, even more so today.
You know what's something too that would change, and I thought was a terrible thing. What do you call the printing that they do now? It's a scan.
Oh, live scan?
Live scan.
Oh, live scan.
So that was just starting. So, everybody would bring the bad guys, the perps, the criminals up to the squad to print.
Yeah.
And that's how you talk to everybody, right? You got a couple of photos up there, and you'd be printing a guy, and you'd say, "I know that guy." Yeah, how do you know him? "Oh, I know him, blah, blah, blah." "What are you going to do for me?" "Well, let's sit down and talk about how you really know him and tell me something." But you would get to talk to people. The live scan, the kids down there, they were rookies. You'd take them down to the live scan, the kids be scanning them 2 minutes, nobody'd be talking to anybody, and it was...
just want to get in and out.
In and out.
And that's how, back in the old days, that's how you cultivated your CIs.
That's 100% correct.
Sure, because you never know what you're going to stumble upon.
That's right. That's right.
That's how you fund people and solve cases.
Ask a question, solve a crime.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I notice even, I have 5 children, right? And they're big on the texting, and they don't know how to communicate the way we communicated. We talk to people. I don't know if you've noticed, I like to talk, okay? So we talk to people, we chat with people, you get in, I don't know if I'm interviewing you or interrogating you most times, okay?
Yeah.
It's just part of what we do.
Exactly.
Sure.
I mean, even growing up, we were in the streets of New York, right? We're playing basketball out to all hours of the night.
Right.
Now the kids are on the couch with their phone or their
games or something.
Or whatever,
Yes. I mean, how much can you learn that way?
Exactly. So let's go out to Minneapolis. So what's your thoughts on the whole ICE situation?
So I was actually on Newsmax on last Saturday when the shooting happened, and we spoke about that for about 2 hours. I think, and I'm a big believer, I felt bad, and I don't know if bad's the correct word either, the chief of Minneapolis. I mean, he looked like between a rock and a hard place. He wants to be a cop, but he's being forced not to be involved. And I'm not going to blame everything on ICE, and I'm not going to blame everything on the Border Patrol. I'm not going to blame everything on the locals, but we're not working together at all. And I remember me being on the job in my early times. A lot of times the Bureau wouldn't talk to the NYPD people. We wouldn't talk. After 9/11, and when the Joint Terrorist Task Force started in the late 80s or early 90s, those things started to change, where everybody worked together. It was a time when people didn't talk. You never gave up anything. I remember guys in the squad wouldn't give up stuff to other detectives at times. But I think what's going on is terrible. I don't think this is Homan's and the president's intention, obviously, to do this. But you need help. It's so much safer for us to be able to go to a courthouse, go to Rikers Island, or go wait outside a court and have the jurisdiction hand over that person on a warrant or whatever he's wanted for. That's easy. It's clean. This isn't clean. This is, and collateral damage, there will always be collateral damage. And what I mean by I don't mean killing. You go in to lock somebody up on a warrant for a sex abuse or a homicide or a robbery, an immigrant, and you go lock him up and there's other people living in that house. Well, you just don't walk away. You identify everybody because you don't know what you're up against, right? So you need to identify everybody. And then all of a sudden, 6 people in there start popping with different warrants. So you lock them up. And I think the people are saying, well, we're just going in there and we're locking up everybody because of their color or where they might be from. They're illegally here. We need to look at that, and we need to do the best thing we can with them. And we need to deport them then. And that's what has to happen. If you're illegally here, you have to pay for that. You have to pay for that. I mean, I know Secretary of Homeland Security is giving everybody the opportunity to go back and come back again. But if you're here illegally, I think it's clear. I don't think there's a lot of exceptions to that. And again, it's just my opinion. And I am a Republican. I'm not going to step away from that. I believe in law and order, like all cops do,
Sure.
I think. We believe in law and order, and we believe, my family came here as immigrants. They worked really hard, and we did well. And I want immigration. I think it's important, but it has to be done the legal way, the correct way. Right. And there's ways to do that, and that's what should be followed.
I agree. I know.
Well, my take on this is the local law enforcement people there, they're the ones who know the lay of the land, correct?
Yes.
Okay. We need all the ancillary services to come together and work with each other, like you just explained, Mike. And when that does not happen, there's a breakdown in service. There's a breakdown in every service imaginable. And that's when accidents and mishaps occur. But we all have to get together, have a meeting of the minds.
Well, I agree. There has to be a strategy. I mean, you can't just haphazardly go in there, three different units and do things.
Especially when you have guys from probably customs, border protection, and
different states.
And then you have guys with different guns. The guns are not the same, and
how about a TAC plan? How about a TAC plan? Everybody meets. We have a briefing before we go out. This is what we're going to do. Local, state, and federal.
And that's what you do. Everything feeds through one person. There's not 26 bosses. One guy's in charge. He says, okay, NYPD, you're going to do this. Customs, you're going to do this. Immigration, you're going to do that. Whatever the case might be. And that's how we work.
I'll give you a perfect example.
Exactly.
Just like, say, we have a UN General Assembly every year in the fall, right? When FLOTUS rolls in or head of state rolls in, we have the NYPD, who are the lead law enforcement personnel, and we work with the Secret Service because those guys are from all over the country, and they're unfamiliar with the streets in New York. So we work closely together, and we don't have those problems.
No, you're right. No. You're right. We have to work together.
And back in the day, too, a squad detective, you're looking for a guy, you find out he's incarcerated, he's in Rikers Island. Call corrections, they set up, okay, he's coming out on Tuesday, 9 a.m., we're there at 7 a.m. with a coffee waiting for him to come out. It's all communication.
All easy.
Simple, and no problems, no issues, no fighting in the parking lot. It's all good.
You cannot have a failure to communicate.
No,
it's not going to happen.
Yeah, communication's key.
And you can't just hold everything close to the vest.
Right. You have to work together.
It'll never happen also.
And in these situations...
it's all about honesty also.
It is. And the situations in Minneapolis, you have guys who... And I didn't like Walsh came out that morning saying how they're all untrained. People are trained for different things. You're putting now in a situation where they're protecting the Border Patrol is protecting the ICE officers. That's not their role. So they're put in a role that they're not familiar with, right? And their tolerance, I think these guys have been unbelievable being spit at and things thrown at. I mean, horrible. You know how hard that is, right? And sometimes you lose your control and you lose your temper. I wasn't big on the body cameras when it first happened. As an old-time guy, I said, but you know what? It was the best thing that happened.
It was necessary.
We were just speaking about that earlier, yes.
It was the best thing. It was necessary. And I think now the president's coming out or Christine Ohm's coming out saying they're going to put body cams on all the people in Minneapolis.
Yep.
I think that's a great idea.
Sure.
That doesn't give us a lot of room to say, well, look at this angle, look at this angle.
It helps.
We'll tell the tale. Absolutely.
It helps. It
Tell
helps.
the story.
It's a big help.
So as we wrap up here, Judy,
Yeah, I'm so
Comments?
glad to have you here, Mike. You're a wealth of knowledge.
Thank you.
And you blend the old with the new, which is important. You know, you can compare and contrast then and now. And I like that. And that's because you are an experienced first grade detective.
Very nice.
True, and I second that.
Thank you.
Although I do have one thing I have to say. You know, first time Mike was on here a couple of years ago, I called him directly. This time he told me to call my agent. So I don't know what happened there. You know,
you didn't call him. I noticed. You didn't call him.
I go
You texted
direct.
me
I'm sorry.
direct.
I'm old school.
I'm a big direct guy too. I'm the same way, Kevin.
You know, but Mike, thank you so much for being our guest today. And everything Judy said is so true. You're a class act. You're a first grade detective, well deserved, successful businessman, and you're doing a great job. And I hope to see you in the mix real soon. And hopefully, maybe after that, maybe run for governor and.
Well, tell Blakeman that.
You know?
but never say never. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But Judy, Kevin, thank you so much. I enjoy this. I like to.
Well, how
do
about
this.
Nassau County? Blakeman's running for governor. What about that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Executive.
It's it's a weird situation. You run for U.S. Senate, and I have had other things offered to me. But do you run for the Assembly? Do you run for a state Senate? After you've done that, I'm not trying to be a jerk about it, but it's hard to assimilate into another kind of situation.
I got you.
So I'm always around. I'm very much involved with the county out there and the Republicans in New York State. If there's a thing that I think I can be helpful to and I have a shot to do it, I certainly will be there.
Well, Michael Sapraicone, thank you for being our guest today.
Thanks, Kev.
Judy Newton, thank you for stepping in for the captain. Sure. And I would like to thank all our listeners for listening. If you like what you hear, you can subscribe to Cop Talk at Cop Talk WABC. That's at Cop Talk WABC. And you could also follow on all social media. Just ask your kids if you don't know what I'm talking about. All over social media. Until next time, God bless you. God bless America. God bless law enforcement throughout the country. And God bless our U.S. military. Thank you, and be safe out there.
Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Payne Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.